Because when you pull that off, your application is on a whole nother level. It's January 28th, 2026, and you don't feel good enough to apply to medical school. In my 10 years of experience as a medical admissions consultant, this is a very common feeling. And just this morning, I got off the phone with somebody who was having that exact same thought. They had seen my video about what range of MCAT scores and GPA were accepted to medical school based on AAMC data. And they were talking to me about their GPA, which was easily within one standard deviation of that mean. So statistically, there was no argument to be made for their GPA being low. But they were insisting that they had this feeling like people with GPAs that were below a 3.8 or something had remarkably unique experiences on their application. A person gave the example of having a publication or something. Again, in my decade of experience, that simply isn't the case. What is the case is that there is a tremendous amount of imposter syndrome in any of us who want to apply to medical school. We have to acknowledge that feeling inadequate and being inadequate are not the same thing, as this case demonstrates, because this individual had a clearly solid GPA and still felt like they were at a disadvantage by virtue of their GPA. But what about that second point? For top applicants to medical school, for people who mount really strong applications, is it just that they have some kind of unique experience? I mean, what is it that sets them apart? And I'll tell you, the vast majority of the time, it's not that they've done something that admission committees haven't seen before. Admissions committees have pretty much seen everything before. They've seen publications, lack of publications, people who've started nonprofits, people who've been in student organizations, people who haven't. Everyone has some strengths and everyone has some weaknesses, and at the end of the day, it comes out in the wash. But the applicants who really wow admissions committees communicate a remarkable degree of reflectiveness. You get a really clear sense from their application where their motivation, where their passion, where their purpose comes from. You get a really clear sense of their growth, how they went from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next, until they came to this place where they were convinced that applying to medical school is the right thing for them. Which is why, no matter what experiences you have or don't, no matter how high, no matter how low your GPA happens to be, I strongly recommend that you focus on learning to communicate that narrative of growth in a way that helps an admissions committee feel your passion and see your motivation and understand your purpose.